Good day. Here we are on the 28th day of March 2024 on the Pope Gregory calendar. Just want to um, update you as to some things going on. Um, this right here is a time of truth and it's a time of awakening as we pay attention to what's happening in the news. We can see some strange things going on, and knowing that we're going to do all we can to make things right. And what came to me today, because there are a lot of things on my plate, what came to me today is knowing that sometimes the evil that happens in the world, it can only happen in darkness. Once we shine light on it, it tends to be diminished. So I want to talk about something that a lot of women deal with, and many people who are original and indigenous here, mislabeled, right? The fact that we're mislabeled as African Americans and Black, that is a way of being targeted just right there to take someone away from their birthright is a form of genocide and trauma. To take someone away from their birthright and their wealth is a form of evil and trauma. So I just want to speak to that right now because sometimes we get distracted by things that are not true and are not accurate. So as I go to straighten out the record, I wanted to just address something straight away because um, if I don't address it and it's on the public record and has to do with my business, then no one will know what's happening. And uh, kind of what has spawned this is, like I said, this year of coming to the end of the anniversary of the Doctrine of Discovery, Consul General being arrested on something that is not on the public record. It does not make sense. It did not make sense to him. It does not make sense to me. And maybe there's more to it. However, we know that there are a lot of operations that are based 100% in fraud to throw the people off from claiming their land. All right. And why that's important? Because that's what's honorable. That's what our foremothers and forefathers would have wanted us to do because they had land. They worked on their own land. They did not spend their energy um, working for an IOU that may or may not happen in the face of trauma. So I just want to share what I'm working on today. There's some matters at the Prince George's County, Maryland court that are in the name of the ens legis that I have made claim to copyright and trademark claim. When I thought about, okay, how am I going to handle all these things at one time? And I said, well, let me go within and ask for wisdom because they all need to be addressed. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to address them all at once, but I'm going to, I don't see if I can pull this up. It's Maryland, and I recommend everyone do this because I was surprised to see what was there in the name of um, the ens legis that I was given, the nom de gore that I was given at birth. Now, I know that that's not me. Now, if you think you are your name, then you're going to be categorized as like being not competent in law. Okay, you are not your name. You're not your name. I know there's some nation states that tell you to say that you are your name. There might be benefit to that, but you actually are not your name. Okay. Um, you have an appellation. You control a name. If you don't control a name, the name might control you, or the people will use it to control you. Let's see here. Nope, I'm not able to pull it up. I'm just going to read it aloud and I'm going to address it. This is me coming sui juris as original indigenous woman on the land known as Amarak, United States of America, North America, to Mary Turtle Island, all that good stuff. Okay. And because of the nature of it, you don't go in arguing, because some people have different explanations of what that, the bandana around the Lady of Justice, justice is blind. You know, when you read, you'll find that no true facts are to be argued. So is the justice really all about the facts? Sometimes it's actually not about the facts. It's just about the court. It's just about the tennis court racket match going back and forth. So now I know that this was, I feel like, well, let me not say this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 case statuses open on Maryland Judiciary Case Search with the name KENYA Louise Mattox. And that name is a name that is in my control. I will have to put liens, put levies, bond, judgment, enforce a judgment in order to work through this. Now, initially, one might think, oh, I need to go through each case. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, the matter with that is that they're just not even true. They're not even true. So I can't let something take up my time. But then again, I can't just let it stay on the record, because these things just didn't happen. Oh no, I closed it out accidentally. So one of them is a tort case by some man. I don't know if there's really a man that goes by this name or not, but I know man. I do not know a man by this name. So what is that about? I've been told that there are bonds that are taken out with these court cases, right? So what I'll do in my sovereign jurisdiction, I will render judgment. I will probably do that for all the cases where they're using the ens legis without my permission. That's going to be the best way for me to spend my time. This particular citation right here is a district court for Prince George's County traffic system. And the numbers end in 8K, I think that's a 0, D as in David, W as in wind, Y as in yellow. And the case title is the State of Maryland versus all cap Mattox, Kenya Louise. When you see the name in that order, that's indicating the natural person, but anytime you see all caps, that's an estate too. Okay, so that's going right after my Sedicate v. trust account, right? That has security interest for me to claim. But when you see the name like this here, unless I correct the record, it's going to be thought that I am a thing of this Maryland court system. I am a thing as in a resident or as in a citizen. And we have to clear the record of that, because I'm going to be held as surety for that. Now, let's go down here to defendant information. So what they do is quite dishonest in the fact that for the address, the address that is registered with this, with the last name, first name, middle name. And I'll tell you how I know more about what is what, about the living and not. as far as my energy goes. I'll tell you how I know that. Okay, I have the mail, or better said, post. I have the post. I receive post, right, at a location that is not in the military admiralty, maritime admiralty jurisdiction, right? So they don't have that here. They instead have an address that's actually not accurate. It's not correct. But there's no way to actually put the correct location because I receive general delivery. If you go to USPS, it says it's where people receive post. But the post office is under occupation from a military jurisdiction. So they, in the courts, they can't send things to people. They can only send things to dead entities. So that's being backed by the living. However, that's why most people go with having an attorney to represent them. And then when you have attorney present you in front of the throne, just like Jesus presents you in front of the throne, then the quote unquote magistrate can't talk to you directly. They have to always talk to the attorney that you hired because you're telling them I'm incompetent to handle my affairs. Now, there are times when we're incompetent to handle our affairs, so it's best to hire someone. And I wish that I had really thought about that a little bit earlier because I think my journey, my redemption journey would have been a little easier had I used an attorney earlier for some matters and then learned and then worked my way out slowly. But it was given to me, oh, never use an attorney, never. Well, they're treating me dead in the law, and then I don't have an attorney, and then I'm not at the time competent in law. So then it's just a waste of time, very frustrating, very irritating. And then when you reach out to some people who have extra knowledge, they're in the loop too when it comes to the targeting, which I'll talk about, which is targetedjustice.com. And they are, I don't know if it's technology problems or what it is, but I can't tell you how many times I've paid, or how can I say, exchange committed Federal Reserve notes, committed credits to get a consultation or get help, and it be garbage, absolute garbage. One man, I had a question about the social work license, and he took the funds for the consultation and then said, well, really, I don't like social workers anyway. So, like, what the, how are you gonna accept someone's funds and supposed to give them ethical consultation, and you already have some type of misguided prejudices about someone just because of the profession they're chosen? So, and then the profession in one town might operate totally different than another, because I know one of the places I have licenses is absolutely the best place to be a social worker. Um, the law does end up being on your side. Usually they honor due process in law. I'm speaking of the District of Columbia. And then there is some place that is one city over, and they're just operating as a criminal organization under RICO, there to collect funds and to escheat the licensees and to bring them into dishonor with not even have, basically just totally rewriting what they think social work should be. And this is the attorney that have this control there. So it's absolutely disgusting and very sad. And it, I think, has a lot to do with the state of the affairs at this particular state, which is based on the state of which I'm the heir, which is based on the land of which is my ancestral lands. And so I, with that, let that be known. Okay, so now this situation, they're using an address that they know does not, and I know that I gave them the accurate address. So they just put in something other than what I gave them is registered with USPS. They just made up something. All right. Also at the post office told me they not going to be able to keep receiving the mail, the post. Well, They're there based on treaty, union treaty. You don't get to make up the Switzerland mail manual. Let's come into what is correct. You don't get to change. You can't change it. They can't change it. They literally cannot change it. It's against the law. It's not in the system for them to be able to change it. What it is with general delivery, it's not more than 30 days that post should go there. I would have never moved it there had my mail, when it was receiving it as mail, not been tampered with, directed different places. Who knows where? It's legal notices. I never received. I think I had a storage unit that I lost due to the fact, in part, that I wasn't getting my mail, the mail for my ins legis that I'm responsible for. So until you correct the record, which I'm in the process of doing, there's powers of attorneys over the name, and actually the state has control of the name, and that's how they're able to use these Department of Homeland Security, Federal Bureau of Investigation programs to genocide the people by controlling their assets through that uncontrolled name. Okay. Changing address, moving the mail. Here we go. An involved party. Officer Powell, Cottage City Police Department. Now, when I look this up, it says this is some mess. This is some mess because I just wouldn't do this. Okay. This says that at the time when I was driving, I had a vehicle. It said I displayed an expired registration plate. I was driving on an expired registration. Okay. Then it says a whole year later. First of all, I know that I wouldn't do that because in order for me to maintain a job, which I had a job at the time that required me to have up-to-date tags, and title insurance license. That was a requirement. And, a lot of people on the freedom journey, they like, oh, we don't need to have a driver's license. If you choose to have your earnings around in a job situation, and you are not paying taxes on there, this is my philosophy that it is okay to have a license. Just you don't use the license to identify yourself. You don't use a dead instrument to identify a living, breathing people. Okay. This is me. You can put a lien on it. You can claim the interest, and it is a lot of things you can do and still respect the jurisdictions and respect order. Now, another thing, when you have a license, you don't want to have a license and then like have your vehicle not have a current plate and issued license and registration. Like you want to be consistent. If you want to be in the private and you want to exercise your right to travel, then there are a number of ways you can do that. You can do that by getting a private plate and getting the master certificate of origin on the vehicle. You can, at that time, it wouldn't be classified, quote unquote, as a vehicle. It would be a private conveyance. Okay. That is one way. Another way is you can, let's say you can put your ride in trust. Let's say it's already registered. You can title it in a trust. And in the state of Maryland, then you would not pay taxes on that trust. I don't think you even have to pay to renew. I'm not so sure on that. But you can title it in the name of a trust. And that is now still registered because everything is in the Global World Trust, right? But you're not under the same jurisdiction as far as the statutes and codes and that sort of thing. It's your private trust. Okay, so now who wants to be pulled over and stopped? All you have to do is do things in order. There is a way, the system provides a way of orderly compliance without letting your rights be escheated. Another option, some people receive a U.S. Treasury plate that I think puts them in the private. I'm not sure about that. Whatever I did, I would be leaning and making claims, because in certain jurisdictions, in certain states, this one being I'm near the state of Maryland. I'm not speaking from the state of Maryland. I'm speaking from my indigenous jurisdiction. But as it relates to the state of Maryland, it's quite unorganized right now and quite sad. So a lot of people are experiencing problems. And there's also a pattern of the conveyances being removed from the street, and the police officers, well, the so-called police officers, they're not that. What they are is policy enforcers. The policy enforcers are not giving case numbers. The policy enforcers are not giving case numbers. And one policy enforcer told me that they saw a video of someone else they were in the video when my car was being taken from the location that it was. And there are also reports of cars being shipped to Nigeria. And then a colleague of mine had their car taken and no police report was given. They said, it's not registered to the state, so we can't give you a police report number. So I guess that means it's being considered stolen from the state, not stolen from that individual, well, the organic individual. So now being fiduciary of your estate, you can, do an affidavit of loss and write that off and actually make claim to it. If you have the VIN number, might even make a claim to the city for not protecting your assets. All right, so we also have to learn about trust, because this could kind of get deep as far as this. So now here we have a suspension. October the 1st in 2020, a suspension from this alleged citation that I did not receive. I was not cited on 12/11/2012. I was not cited. My ens legis was not cited for any kind of driving without a current license or a current plate. Absolutely ridiculous. So now here it is. So there's a $70 fine imposed, and then here in 2020 is saying, okay, yeah, you're still doing that. That's so ridiculous. Now, before I knew what was happening, I looked at the record and I said, oh my goodness, look at these things on the record that someone would think is me that's not me, and think that I did these things and I'm irresponsible like that. So right now I'm rebutting that, and I will in writing follow through. So here it is, a suspension recall 2020. Okay. I might have I think at the time I wasn't understanding that I need to have my own court and render the judgment upon them. Okay. Because I can't appear in their courts anyway. And they know that because of the things I put in the public record. They know that I'm awake to who I am. That's why they lied about my address. misrepresented my address, my post location. I actually don't have an address. I have a post location. I don't have an address. I have a post location. But they don't take post locations in here. They only take addresses. All right. So let me see right here. Now, I think I did request a hearing, and I may or may not have gotten anything in the mail. You have to understand, when things don't go to where they're supposed to go, it gets routed, sent all around Robin Hood's barn or whatever. Now, I didn't know that they probably can't put in the system where I receive post. Okay. So either way, it says I didn't show. It says a request for a trial. I probably did request it. Looks like that was in June, and then in July, one was granted. I was never made aware of that. I never received any mail stating this. July 19, 2023. Then it says a failure to appear, and then it says a suspension, a failure to appear. Well, one thing we have to know is that this particular plate was also, it was the District of Columbia plate. All right, so I don't know what they're suspending. And just to say some other funny stuff that was happening, I remember it was during a snowstorm. I get this letter in the mail. I don't know, it must have gotten lost in the mail before I got it, but it said, hey, we have record in the district that your driving license is suspended in Maryland for an unpaid ticket. So I called and I learned about that. No, you don't have any kind of unpaid ticket. The ticket was paid and we still have the receipt on file. So due to the snowstorm, I wasn't able to go get it right away. So the next day, I think it like went into some type of default situation, or where now the suspension transferred to the District of Columbia. So now I have on the driving record, this is years and years and years ago, that okay, your license is suspended because it was suspended in a neighboring jurisdiction, but it was never suspended in the neighboring jurisdiction. And then I get the receipt. I finally could go pick up the receipt all the way from Baltimore or something, bring the receipt back into the district, and it was put on the record that the ticket was paid and there was no such suspension. But it remained on the driving record for like 3 years or so that I had a suspended license. And these type of things make your insurance rates go up, right? So these are the little tiny pricks that exist when one is targeted. At the time, I didn't recognize that maybe this is part of being targeted. But if you go to the targetedjustice.com website, you'll learn about what it is, because this program is coming to an end soon. It can't stand in this new era, in this new age. And people wonder why the budget, having budget problems and things like that. No, it cannot stand. As the creditors stand up, then we're going to be responsible with how the funds are used, okay? The funds, our energy, that represents our energy. All right, so that was that one. I'll try to move through the other ones a little more quickly because they're all like the same matter, actually. When I say the same matter, like the same issue is based in fraud. Okay, this one right here, it's a different citation number, but it seems to be centered around the same issues. Look at that. I was 10 pounds heavier then. So it says, why would I put that? Yeah, I guess that's what I was. 135. Okay. I'll just say when these things happen, the best thing you can do is be in your right mind and take care of yourself, eat right, breathe in deep, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And don't let it rattle you, because that's what it's designed to do, is to throw you off spiritually and to rattle you. When you realize that um, these things are done for that purpose, it kind of makes it a little better, in my opinion. Now look at this here. Charge and disposition information. Operating an unregistered motor vehicle on the highway, which is a lie. Okay. No property damage, no fine. Now, the fine amount owed is $290. So, what I'm learning is best to do is to accept the debt and settle it. Okay. Accept the debt and settle it. And also report this, put a lien, put a levy, put a bond. Who knows how much funds or currency was generated from this fictitious situation that's here. I don't know. But I think it might have caused me harm when I was looking to renew a social work license in the state of Maryland. They were like, well, we're concerned. I'm like, well, what are you concerned about? Now, social workers don't do that. Social workers use their words like adults, but attorneys, not all of them, but some of them, they just like talking some mysterious code, like, you know that I know what you don't know. I'm like, well, that's fine that you do that. However, the board of social worker is supposed to be facilitated and ran by the social workers who are licensed and competent in social work practice, not attorneys who are not competent in social work practice and who specialize in the procedure of law, and actually not even the law. Because if they were competent in the law as it relates to people and what the standards of social work are, they would realize that the two do not mix. Because what happens, particularly a board where the people ignore due process, what happens is you're escheating people, and social workers are held to a strict standard not to cheat and escheat people. And so really shouldn't even be helping them apply for these benefits for food stamps and housing and this sort of thing. We are to be assisting them with claiming their rights, because that's the standard of practice that you're taught for 2 years in a master's level program, is to help someone with the highest and best purpose. And it's definitely not the highest and best purpose to have heirs of an estate walk around as welfare recipients when they're heirs to the world's largest estate. Okay. So, yes, this is a continuation. And also, you notice in here, well, I'm noticing they're like different addresses and things like that. I think that they renew bonds when they change addresses too. And because that's something I noticed with the Board of Social Work Examiners, when each time we have a hearing, they use a different address. Well, where'd you get that address? I didn't give you a different address. And I haven't lived at that address or received mail or post at that address in like 10 years. And you're sending something current that I need in order to interact with you with all the information to some address I don't even get post at 2 or 3 addresses ago. And then another thing that happened with working with that, the compliance lady, Kara Brooks, who I find to, she's definitely a lawbreaker. You cannot go into a contract knowingly having something hidden and call yourself a social worker. That's against ethics. Okay. And yes, basically, I received something from them like the 10 days after the hearing. 10 days after the hearing, I let them know in the hearing, I didn't receive what you were supposed to have mailed to me. They were like, that's okay. We know that I sent it yesterday. You sent it yesterday and me having it today are two totally different things. So that's something else that I have to straighten up. That's in the name of the ens legis. Okay. So now we're going here to a traffic citation 900 MFQ. And the filing date was 10/20/2015. I'm grateful for this because these things are helping me understand and know the system. You don't have problems, you do things like straight down the line, then you're not going to know how the system works because they usually don't bother you. They had to make stuff up in order for me to even get in here to see how jacked up the system is. Okay, so I think I must have requested a date for this too. Didn't get it in the mail on July 25th, but this says right here that failure to display registration card upon demand of the police officer. No, I did not get a $50 ticket for that. That's just not true. Not stopped. Not true. And then I do remember being stopped once for not displaying a card. However, I was not driving my ride. It wasn't my vehicle. Plain and simple. So I remember the times I've gotten stopped because one jurisdiction, they'll stop you for just like hardly any reason, which is not in line with law. And then there's somewhere else they have to be blatantly violating to be stopped because they have other crimes to help with. Okay. So failure to display registration card upon demand of police officer. That did not happen. I know this area of town. I know when I go there, I used to have a client around there that I would meet. I didn't go there that often. So it's not a part of town that I just hang out around. And no, I was not given a $50 ticket there. Failure to comply, suspension. Failure to comply, suspension. So they're saying that in 2015 that this officer J Socks, SOCKS. One time I had a car accident. The responding officer was named Officer Stalk. Officer Stalk. Okay, so I thought that was weird. And then he never even got the information from the man who hit my car. It's crazy. These ritualistic accidents usually happen when you have something else important to do or something memorable has happened. That I could recount that more than once and share other people's stories about that happening. Car accidents on birthdays, car accidents on days you settle with estates, car accidents these times. And then of course the person always is like, I don't have any insurance, or it's hit and run or whatever have you. It's not good because they also cause physical harm. It's not just them damaging your car and wasting your time and traumatizing you there, also causing physical harm to your body. Okay, so this makes sense here. Failure to appear July 25th. I never received anything in the mail about that. And then document name, suspension, failure to appear. So suspension of what? Of the license? What? What is the suspension of? Suspension of the case, maybe? Okay. I'm not sure. I guess I have to ask a clerk. Not me. Didn't happen. It's so ridiculous. Last time, when I closed the license out, it was totally clean driving record, right? If I had it to do over, I wouldn't. I just would have leaned and levied it. I would have leaned and levied it. Okay. At least I might have done more than that, but I would have done that because that just would have been better for me. And then I would not have used it as a source of identification. That's all. You have these tools and instruments for your good. Life insurance. It says the contract was satisfied. It was unpaid from the year 2004. So 20 years later, they're saying that I did not pay this debt. I know exactly what happened. I canceled the insurance, and then even though it was canceled, I got billed another month. Okay, so whatever. 297.63. This has not always been, it has not been sitting here in my name for 20 years, to my knowledge, because I've looked at my record before. Can you believe this? I actually took a class where, as a social work class, when some man who's not anything about my people, not from my people, said it's unethical to look up a public record for someone else. Okay, I'm gonna just go on the record and saying that's ridiculous. It's irresponsible if you are going out with someone, dating someone, getting to know someone. It's irresponsible to not look up their public record. That's why it's public. Now, if you see some information that is concerning you or whatever, you might keep it in the back of your mind. If it's not like a big deal, you might come to a point or where you clarify the information. Because in the case that I'm experiencing, the things in the ins legis of mine, these things are so false. So you can't look at the record and think you know the truth. But the public record is supposed to give you, it's supposed to line up with the truth. The public record is supposed to line up with the truth. Okay. It doesn't always, but it's nothing unethical about looking up the public record. In fact, it's unethical if you don't take care of yourself, you don't look out for yourself, if you don't look to see about the inconsistencies, about how someone's presenting themselves compared to what the public record is showing, what the fruit of who they are is about. But you want to talk to them and ask them. You don't want to assume anything. It's okay to look. Who made it? Who made that up? That it's dishonorable to look at a public record. I used to be in a position where it was part of my job. I had to look up the public record on the people coming through because I had to know who I was dealing with. And in life, isn't it a good thing to always know who you're dealing with? Now here we go. Based on that same claim, it's another case associated with this insurance claim, an unpaid quote unquote insurance claim from 2004. Now, it said at first, the other record said $200 and something unpaid. Now it says attorney fee $74. The total judgment is $427.03 from a $200, $200 and almost $300 premium. So it says the filing fee $55. The attorney fee, $74. You look at Mamsie. Mamsie's not in business anymore, but this is a charge to my state. And so I'll accept the charge and settle the charge and claim the charge. Okay. So there's no funds out of my pocket, but it's something that I need to handle. And then, and there's post-judgment interest and all this kind of thing. So I guess it's just something that stays on the record until it's settled. Now, I can't say all the details because, but I do remember being unfairly charged when I closed out that insurance that went up at the last minute. Okay, boom. And then this another files a judgment for the same, it's a conversion default. The judicial officer is quote unquote conversion default. Okay. And it gives the case number that it was connected to. And so on one is saying the total judgment is $297, and then the other one it's saying for something. Now in this case, I did put a memorandum of trust, and I'll have to follow through on that. Trust is a way to bring the debt into the private so it can be discharged and offset. Now, this tort case, ending, I think the number is like 0502003620 by Federico Prince Jr. That's the title of the case. It's a tort claim against my estate. And I've never met anybody named Federico Prince. When I went to look at the papers that were filed, I can't find them in the county record. They're not showing up. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they are talking about. So back then, I never got any kind of notice from this Federico. And the case was for $25,000. I think when someone opens up the cases, then there must be a bond put in. I think there's a bond that goes along with that. See, so there are funds that are being made off of like putting these charges on the estate, whether I pay or don't pay, because folks pay into the bonds. So this is why we have to come into honor as people, because anytime you have these people coming together and conspiring for unrighteousness, obviously something needs to change. So here it is, a trial date, March 20, 2028, then a hearing scheduled. The trial was deleted. Then on the 27th, a hearing scheduled, and then a notice of the hearing. It was canceled because I looked this code up. It was the code is something about not being in the right jurisdiction. And it's 3-507. Now, it says there's an affidavit, but it's not on the record. I can't find it. This is 2008. Yeah. I don't know anything about this. Miscellaneous correspondence file, that was me. And so I'm just learning that I have to adjudicate this myself, and then I'll render my judgment upon this de facto court. Okay, that's that. Now, I'm also responsible for the affairs of my loved one. I will not call the name of my loved one right now, but I will say this. The bankers are crying out for help and making claim to my estate based on the Federal Reserve circulars. Once there's been a material fact made known that there's a claim, then the debt is supposed to be discharged and offset. Federal Reserve in New York. Okay, that's not happening. So I'm thinking you have another end game, but I'm saying whatever the end game is, okay, yes, I will make a claim, but this is happening in the light of other things going on, in the light of our environments being infested with direct energy weapons and these type of things, and other targeted justice, look on the website type of thing. So it's not just one insult. And so I finally figured it out. Yes, I will put a lien on the credit union, and it would actually be okay just to be an honor too, right? To do what is written. But I guess that's too much like right. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in a period of right of redemption on a property where once there were about $14,000 worth of funds taken from the checking account without my permission, and with disregard to the power of attorney that I had over the account, it threw the finances off. $14,000, yes, it threw the finances off a little bit, and that's on top of using finances for other things that were very, very urgent. So there, you think that the savings in your public banking and the account, you think that that's yours to use as you need to, but it's not. It's actually your account holder and it's in your name, but that name is being claimed by the state and there's power of attorneys over it. So right now, when the banks being in such unstable position that they're in, they are also working along with people from the Department of Defense and the Department of Treasury. This is per my reading. And this is how the Department of Defense is to uphold the U.S., right? So they are able to take out actions against the accounts, right? That you are supposed to be in a fiduciary relationship with. You're taking care of that account as a fiduciary. That's what's supposed to happen, right? And so they're taking out funds to, balance everything. Okay. And it's not okay. All right. So throws off your budget. It was just a whole cycle of things where you go from paying everything or not paying because you can't really pay, right? You go from giving donus gift payments. You go from giving gift payments on time to, with 800 credit score to then being told you can't refinance that dead pledge because the credit score is too low. All right, so I think the point, rather than just adhering to the rules for when someone wakes up and nationalizes, rather than adhering to that, it's just been, well, she'll figure it out because we know she doesn't owe that debt either. She just has to discharge and offset it herself. So I think I've gotten to the place where that can happen. But that's how it goes. 14,000 taken out, and then mind you, the car stolen, funds being blocked, unblocked, blocked, unblocked. And I remember it was one weekend I was celebrating a biblical holy day, and someone from the credit union called and said, this is after I did not allow them to take out any more payments. Okay. I would have paid on it fine. However, it was just the continuous inconvenience of their tricks and games and going against their own policies that I just kind of got fed up. And I was just like, look, I will learn how to do this and I'll discharge it. I don't plan to make any more gift payments in the meantime because it was made. I had to borrow money to get enough food to last to the end of the month because they took an extra payment out of what, extra debit out of what I agreed to, because they felt like it during a month when there were a lot of expenses in keeping holy days, and then wants to question me about the use of rideshare and say it would be better to take some type of bus. See, and told me to take my loved one for guardianship. How did they know? They were telling me what's best for their interests. They were not telling me what was best for my loved one. And so we have to be competent in law. And what they did too at this credit union is the attorneys wouldn't give their names. So now the liability goes back on the whole credit union, right? And it's disgusting. I don't understand how people sleep at night with these type of behaviors that they demonstrate. So that's my little update about some messy stuff that's on the record. And I have to handle it. That's that. All right. Peace. And let me see. Just another checking about what I'm going to do today. I will put in a default judgment for one of the cases that I made actions on for a writ quo warranto. And of course, they didn't respond because they cannot respond. And then I will create the lien through the UCC. I will send in my UCC trust packet. And I know you don't, quote unquote, have to send in a trust with that UCC trust. However, I just want to be clear about my intentions. And I've already acquired a 98 number for trust and a 98 number for the estate. And working toward redemption. There's a book called The Redemption Manual. And I recommend it because that's what the system needs right now. It needs us to wake up and be in our proper selves, okay? And our proper selves cannot be debtors. We're creditors, and are we going to be secured creditors or not? And once you're a secured creditor, then you can discharge and offset your debt and not deepen the national debt, and you can start claiming some of your estate and learning to live off of your estate and be in business and commerce where you walk on water. Okay, so that's a lot, and I still have to move forward in it, but I'm better equipped now than before. Also, still addressing the claims against Arlington, and also bringing your attention to targetedjustice.com. You'll see that people made claims through that fictitious system. You have to stand outside of the system on your rights and create the claim and make the judgment. Okay. So this is likely part of the targeting. I cannot prove it, but these are the type of things that happen, just a bunch of disorder and disarray. And so I encourage you to stand and to expect good things. All right. Peace.